So what's the problem?
Is this not streaming, Kevin? Please, ladies and gentlemen, be patient. Let's give some more people to join. We have about 10 people in here already. So just give them to like 2:10, in another 5 minutes. And I don't know if our guest speaker is here now. I don't see our guest speaker, Frank Casper. I don't see our guest speaker. In the meantime, let me paste the agenda for the conference.
So we are live now.
Okay.
We're live on YouTube.
So I'm going to try to post the agenda. Kevin, do you know if our guest is in here already?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Thank you, my friend. I see Oladipo Shola. Is that?
Is that what?
Oh, okay. There you are. Now I see the face. Okay.
Okay, Nnaemeka banking, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So our event is live, we can go ahead.
Yes, okay. Let me quickly post the agenda of the meeting in the chat room. So in another 3 minutes, please bear with us. We'll start in about 3 minutes. Okay, I think it's about time now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you guys again to Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa. We abbreviate it as DADA. DADA actually was formed after the Bush election in Nigeria, and most of the diasporans led by Dr. Cordelia Udo decided to form DADA to see how we can come together as a body to help develop African-grown democracy in the continent. Diasporans all over the world have played a very important part in developing viable democracy in Africa, going from the huge amounts of money they have remitted back to Africa, and how they help in voter education, election monitoring, conference, and democratic matters. Reduce the duplication of exercise is one of our major objectives, and waste of resources. I would like to especially thank our guest today, Dr. Please pardon me, I hope I pronounce your word correctly, Nnaemeka Obiaraeri.
Obiaraeri.
Obiaraeri, okay, thank you. Okay, that's good. Obiaraeri, okay, that's a good one. I think I understand that little part. Thanks again for taking out your time from your busy schedule, to come in here to kind of give us a breakdown of your vast wealth of knowledge. Thanks again. The next item on my program is DADA's presentation by Kevin. I don't know if Kevin is ready to give the audience a brief general overview of what DADA is all about. I know I mentioned a little bit of it, but maybe he might be able to expatiate that using some graphics. Kelvin, over to you, please. Kevin, are you there?
Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, good evening, everyone. Just want to give a very formally welcome to this event, the conference, and also general meeting for all our members. The Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa is a Pan-African organization that was established as a vehicle to mobilize all of African diaspora across the world and outside the African continent to organize and to bring people of African descent, upon their competencies, resources, and their social capital towards redeeming Africa itself. Because we know that Africa is one continent that's plagued with underdevelopment, especially leadership, good governance. We all know that if we had good governance, definitely a lot of Africa will not even be a third world continent. Africa would be a first world continent. In that retrospect, DADA was established to create that gap where those in the diaspora could help the African continent move from underdevelopment to real development by promoting good governance. Our main mission in DADA is that we are resolved to mobilize, like I said, African people, resources, networks, and organizations empowered by self-determination and commitment to evolve a sense of African authentic democracy that will entrench good development, thereby improving the way of life of the African people and the society. We know that once we have a responsive and good governance, it will trickle down to other parts of the society, and infrastructure, health, and every other thing will come into play, and African people will be better for it. Our vision is to materialize an Africa in which its people will be restored to what we call a fully civilized society, a content that is modernized and propelled by democratic and good governance philosophy. And so that's our main goal. our overreaching purpose will try to facilitate and promote the advancement of democracy in Africa. We believe that through democracy, we believe that we can get good governance. Democracy is like people say is one of the best form of governance out there. So I'll just be listing out some of our core beliefs, our values and principles, then our goals on the African continent. Let me start with the goals. Developing African citizenship to promote a strong pride in African citizen identity, to nurture citizens' responsibility towards African aspirations, and to develop and respect human and people's rights on the African continent. Our second goal, like I said before, is to nurture democratic leadership, nurturing a culture of active involvement of people being led in the right way, not being deceived by organizing good and credible elections, to support inputs and feedback from people that are being led, and then to encourage participation of those who are being led in decision making, to also promote the philosophy and practice of what we call servant leadership, not leadership in which those are the aim of authority feel like they are demigods and that the populace they owe them a lot. Kind of governance in which those who are at the aim of authority know that they have to serve the people and give them better quality of life. I'll go number 3, which is foster a democratic and developmental culture to lead African development on the informed choices of citizens, to design policies that are centered on people and subject to people's scrutiny, to pursue development that is based on values and anchor sustainability. Then our main goal, which is the last one, is what we call promoting good governance, which is our number one goal in DADA, to advance the rule of law as a basis for governance and development. But the second one is to foster a population participation and responsibility for groups and individuals. Talking about elections, yes. Then to promote equity, inclusiveness, and other forms of social justices. And the last one is to promote transparency and accountability in all spectra of the African society. So these are just some of the main goals of DADA, and I want all of us here to key into that, because that is what DADA is all about. And as we move on, we hopefully be able to achieve a lot in DADA in terms of this, in terms of promoting good governance on the African continent. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And again, I would like to reiterate that DADA is a newly formed organization. We are requesting all diasporans to participate in the development of this organization. It is not a fully formed organization. We are still in our infancy stage. So everyone is pleased, key in, as Kevin said, and help us develop this organization. There's no suggestion that will be taken lightly. Every suggestion is important to the development of the organization. Thank you very much. I don't know if Dan is here to help us introduce our esteemed guest, but if he's not here, maybe I can do it on his behalf. I don't see Dan here. Dan, are you here? Oh, well, I want to say thanks again, Dr. Nnaemeka, for taking out your time to be with us today. Dr. Nnaemeka is a managing director, CEO of Tarius Capital and Advisory Limited. It's a Pan-African investment banking firm. He has expertise in financing and investments. So we are going to be listening to him today to kind of give us his insight into the role of Nigerian diaspora in the economic development of the country in this current dispensation. This is just one of the topics that we'll be having going forward, focusing on Nigeria. This same focus is being built also for other countries in Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Dr. Nnaemeka. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Dr. Nnaemeka, please.
Okay. It's my pleasure. I count it as a privilege to be asked to anchor and discuss on the very important role of the diasporans in shaping the future of Africa and Nigeria. I've always maintained, and I'm an apostle of the fact that the greatest export of Africa, especially Nigeria, are our diasporans. The mistake we've made over the last 60 years, over the last 50 years, is to assume that the greatest resource that we have in Nigeria is the crude oil. Not at all. The greatest resources that Nigeria has today are our diasporans across the length and breadth of the global space. I was privileged in 2007 to set up the investment banking department of one of the deposit money banks in Nigeria. And I was given a target of creating revenue in the first year of about 125 million naira then. I ended up producing about 2.3 billion for the bank in 18 months in terms of income without any toxic assets backing it. And one of the things that happened was that I discovered the importance of working with the diasporans. In fact, the first equity-linked and debt instrument that was directly linked to the diasporans, total of about $40 million, 20 million equity-linked, 20 million debt, was something I developed working with Nigerians and diaspora in Europe, Nigerians and diaspora in America, and those in Asia. I discovered critically that for us to actually build this economy, for us to actually take Nigeria from where it is today, even to the level of the second world country, we must embrace our diasporans and see them as critical partners and the greatest resource. And of course, most of these diasporans live in developed economies where there is rule of law, where there is transparency, where there is accountability, where wealth are attached to enterprise. And they've come to understand that no system works, no society works when there is no rule of law, when there is no place for merit and excellence, when wealth is not, and that no wealth is sustainable if it's not attached to honest and creative enterprises that provide solutions to the problems of mankind. 2007 was a watershed in the history of Nigeria. That was when Okonjo-Iweala, working with the World Bank, developed a global infrastructure development master plan for Nigeria. It was an audacious $3 trillion plan that will have been achieved over a period of 30 years with the sole intention of catapulting Nigeria from the level of a third world country to that of a second world country, knocking at the door of the first world. If we take excursion down to history, we will see clearly. I am somebody who is an avid reader. I'm a researching professional. And one of the things I discovered during the course of my researches, I spend almost about 3-4 hours every day studying. For you to be a good investment banker, for you to be a good forensic investigator, for you to be a good financial engineer, you must be able to study. You must be able to cross the T's and dot the I's. You must be able to ask questions. You must be able to interrogate things. We do not just rely on the fact that this had been done elsewhere or this is impossible to be done. Or the normal commercial banking setup is what we call vanilla. It's principally based on you do this, you get this. But investment bankers who are creative in thoughts, who are creative in their ways, who are passionately creative in what they do, try to see solutions where every other person sees problem. Basically, what we'll do is to create exotic solutions to things that people seem to be impossible. So I was looking down history. As at 1965, if you look at the trajectory of Nigerian economy, you will discover that between 1960 to 1966, before the military guy struck, Nigeria was far ahead of China. Nigeria was far ahead of South Korea. Nigeria was far ahead of Singapore and Malaysia by every manner of verifiable and empirical economic indicators. In fact, as at 1965, Nigeria was ahead of all these countries in terms of GDP per capita. In terms of literacy, we were at par with them. Literacy level then was 57%. But today, Singapore is a first world economy. A landmass as small as Alimosho local government area in Lagos State, 751 square miles. Singapore is so deprived of natural resources that it even imports sand to be able to take back some of the shorelines within the country. Yet, that country, not endowed with any known natural resources, just like Nigeria, is today a first world country because they were very privileged and fortunate to have leadership that understood the place of creativity, the place of excellence, the place of sacrifice, just like we had. In the early 60s, we had similar leadership. Dr. Michael Ihon Karopara was a 39-year-old medical doctor in 1959 when he became the premier of the old Eastern Nigeria. Then we had a physical and constitutional arrangement that allowed the constituent units to be very semi-autonomous. Everybody developed at their own pace. There was healthy competition among the regions. In 6 years, even without the benefit of the fossil fuel, Michael Okpara built 214-kilometer industrial corridor. Michael understood. In fact, if you watched closely, the old Eastern Nigeria, within a space of 40 years, was able to catch up with the West and the sum of those in Africa that were ahead of them in terms of education, because they discovered the importance of investing in critical infrastructure, which is the human infrastructure. You saw them contributing to send their children to universities, sent most of them abroad to go and acquire education and even, earn some foreign exchange. And it was an economy that was built on productivity, on excellence. The perks of office was not there like we have it today. So I discovered critically, 2007, $3 trillion global infrastructure development master plan. It was an audacious plan that required investment capital of at least $100 billion flowing into the Nigerian economy annually for capital investments across the key and critical sectors of the economy over the next 30 years. And of course, we looked at the numbers and we also discovered that for us to attract that capital investment, even if we decide to apply all our crude oil resources and every other non-oil resources, it will not even be able to provide half of that amount of money. So basically, most of those monies will come by way of foreign direct investment and foreign diaspora remittances. But of course, we'll discover there's one Igbo adage that says, when there's no lamara map wama, you first of all have to do good from home before you extend it outside. And the only people that can invest or bring investment into Nigeria that will encourage other people to come are the indigenous, those who understand the landscape. I always say to people, young men, when they come to me, in time, because I've managed SME fund, I managed one of the biggest SME funds in Nigeria between 2006 to 2005 to 2007. And one of the things I always ask young entrepreneurs when they come to me, I first of all ask them, I said, one of the greatest assets is you must show commitment, you must show resources. If the family and friends cannot invest in you, at least to provide you with 10% of the seed funding that you will require to get 90% debt funding, then no other person will trust you. I always tell them, family and friend capital is the first capital that will convince an external person that you are trustworthy, that you have character, one of the 5 C's on any that determines any lending decision. So I discovered clearly, if you look at the demography today, Nigeria has almost about 5 to 10 million diasporas documented outside the undocumented ones. In the US, as at 2022, it's estimated that the population of US citizens that claim Nigeria ancestry, as at 2022, was about 712,000. In the UK, it was about 252,000. In Germany, it was about 56,000. I took out time to look at the indices. And in the US, most of these guys, 35% of them already have first degree. Most of them are non-liabilities. These are guys who on their own can easily walk into any American bank and borrow $20,000 and they can easily repay it over time. And I say to anybody who cares to listen, if we actually put in place the right structures in place, the right frameworks, the transparent governance and institutional arrangement, we can easily attract nothing less than $50 to $100 billion in very scientific diaspora investment inflow into Nigeria. On the 27th of March, I will be privileged to speak at a retreat being organized by Ohaneze Ndibo. The 5 governors are expected to be there. And by the special grace of God, I will be anchoring discussions on how we can recreate the golden years of the early 60s, where Michael Obiaraeri did 214-kilometer agro-based industrial belt. The first railway that was done out of Enugu to Port Harcourt was done because the white man wanted to have rail track through which they can export coal and export the palm produce that was coming out of the old eastern Nigeria. And interestingly, as at 1965, Nigeria controlled 45% of the global crude palm oil supply. Today, that market is a $72 billion sized market, controlled 85% by Indonesia and Malaysia. One of the biggest agro companies in the whole world, Wilmar Indonesia, annually makes a turnover of about $73 billion, which is twice what Nigeria as a nation makes exporting what we produce here in Nigeria, which is shameful. One single company based on the agro value chain makes twice more revenue than Nigeria. And if you look at Nigeria Stock Exchange over the last 30 years, the only 2 companies that have consistently paid dividend to their investors are Okomu and Presco. Okomu and Presco were some of the palm oil assets that were created under the military era of Obasanjo and Gowon, and which was privatized in 1990. Interestingly, most of the palm oil assets that we have in Nigeria were palm oil assets that were developed by Michael Obiaraeri and the military regime. There is none of the current gladiators from 1999 till now had developed anything towards that side. Indonesia and Malaysia came to Calabar over 8 years ago and picked the seedlings. Nigeria is the only place in the whole wide world where the palm tree and the dead palm fruits grows in the wild. Nigeria is the only place where these rich cash crops fruits twice annually. These guys came to Nigeria, picked it 8 years ago, modified it. Today, they control 85% of that market. Indonesia has even banned the export of the crude palm oil because they have developed value chain. In fact, recently, they discovered how the palm oil can be used to fly aeroplane. That is how great this thing had become in their hands. Annually, they make over $38 billion from that market alone. So basically, the focus of my discussion on 27th, which I even share a snippet here, on how we can harness our diasporans. In the southeast of Nigeria, we have a landmass of 2.8 million hectares, 28,000 square kilometers. Most of those lands are arable land. We have water tributaries from Imo River and the rest of them. And interestingly, if we dedicate 30% of that landmass, about 840,000 hectares, we can create an economy from that agro value chain that can generate nothing less than $10 to $20 billion annually. I've done the numbers, I've done the indicators with my team, and we will be breaking it down. But it cannot be done without diaspora support. But diaspora support is very key. But the diasporans can come in only when we have that constitutional, that physical, that governance sincerity in place. I will give you an example. Nobody goes into agro value chain without security in Nigeria. In 2016, I led a group of investors, mostly Ndibo, some of my employers and bosses in the banking industry. And we decided to float a PPP company known as the Southeast Farms and Agricultural Processing Company Limited. Started it with an initial capital of 250 million naira, generated by the investors, 5 independent investors. What was the plan? The plan was to work with the governments in the Southeast, since they weren't forthcoming on how they can create the wealth that Michael Obiaraeri wanted to provide private sector-led initiatives. Interestingly, what we wanted to do was to set an example before talking to them about need to bring in the diasporans. But unfortunately, there was no security. We lost over 328 million naira in a period of 6 years. because most of our assets were destroyed. I will give you an example. I was privileged to discuss with a group, some diasporans, because the diasporans, they know a lot of things we don't know here in Nigeria. They see things, they observe things, they interact with people. Go to Canada, you will see, for example, on an annual basis, the Canadians import over $38 million worth of yam. And most of these yams are Nigerian yams. But because of the inefficiencies in our ports, they truck those yams to Ghana and export it from Ghana with a brand name made in Ghana. And interestingly, it's a market that we would have been controlling if we had the governance support, if we had the policy support, if we have the transparency, if we do not have checkpoints along the road, extortionist point, if we do not have bottlenecks at the ports. In Kenya exports over $3.5 billion worth of agro commodities, flowers, vegetables, legumes, and coffee. From Mombasa to the nearest port in Europe is about 7,000 kilometers. From Owerri Cargo Airport or Lagos Airport or from Abuja Airport to Europe is about 6,000. It's actually faster to ship commodities from Nigeria into Europe than from Mombasa, Kenya. But do you know why the Kenyans are able to do $3.5 billion and Nigerians cannot do it? It's because of the criminality in our system. There is an arrangement at Mombasa exit point, either from the ship, from the seaport or the airport. If you are within a shift and an agro commodity comes into the port or into the airport and it is not shipped out within 6 months, everybody in that ship will be sacked. It is not so in Nigeria. So scientifically, we decided after we lost so much money, built 4 factories. 2 of them were burnt by unknown government, known men, because they are not unknown. These are our brothers and sisters. We know all of them. They are not ghosts. We did massive Cavendish banana orchard, did maize, did pineapple, 60 hectares. They destroyed the farm, destroyed the bulldozers. But of course, we are very fortunate today. We have a governor in Abia State, Alex Oti, who is very proactive, who understands the importance of private-public partnership, and who has now provided the leadership that we need to begin to explore on this diaspora partnership. Now, let me tell you an example of the kind of things the diasporans can do. Most of our people come from villages. And there's one interesting thing, one interesting characteristic and DNA of the Nigerian diasporans. They are not like the diasporans who go out to the Western world and forget about home. They always want to come back home. They always want to relate back home. They always want to bring in their wealth back home to help to cushion the effect of the sufferings in the land. We asked them, they were starting from Abia State. And basically, and interestingly, I was privileged. I met some diasporans, 82 medical students, 82 graduating class, University of Ibadan, medical students. And they put themselves up into the same kind of structure that we have been talking about, into a cooperative. And they want to invest in agro value chain. And I'll give you an example, interesting statistics of the kind of numbers that can be done if those who purport to govern us are sincere about partnering with the diasporans. And one of the ways we will start this is by allowing the diasporans to participate in our democracy. Kenya is leading it. Kenyans in diaspora can now vote and participate in their election process. Ruto and co understand the importance. And of course, the Kenyan diasporans cannot be compared to Nigerian diasporans. 1 out of every 4 African diasporans is a Nigerian. If you look at diaspora inflow, actually, Nigerian diaspora inflow, if not modeled up, can actually be more than every other African inflows aggregated together. So basically, what we are trying to do in Abia State, as an example, we have communities, and these diasporans come from communities. Abia State has 184 autonomous communities, electoral wards. And now we are going to do the value chain. Most people don't understand that cocoa, which is a very, very important cash crop, grows in Abia State, grows in the southeast. Michael Okpara actually did about 3,000 hectares of cocoa plantation that has been abandoned. And there is no government after Michael Okpara that have added 1 hectare of cocoa plantation since Michael Okpara died. And that is how unfortunate it has become. So basically, what we are trying to do now in Abia State, under a private-public partnership arrangement, working with the diasporans, in every of these 184 electoral wards, there are diasporans who are living abroad. What we will do is we come to the communities. The governor has been gracious enough to appoint mayors not like the normal local government chairman that who do not understand, the importance of investment. Unlike such appointed mayors, these mayors are accomplished captains of industry. On our half year, we have someone like Chief Wanwaha, the popular Bordex telecommunication giant. We have we have someone like Victor Ezage. He's an accomplished private entrepreneur. So these guys, you can see the zeal, you can see the passion. They are going out there to beg investors to come. And some of these diaspora, like this medical group and other groups, I will always encourage, like, what you are doing is very, very good. This DADA initiative is very, very good. And I will want this DADA initiative to grow into a behemoth. It's not just enough for you to be talking about democracy. You should be putting yourself together in cooperatives for the sake of investment. Now, let me tell you what we're trying to do. Our plan, if you look at Netherlands has a land mass of 41,000 square kilometers. Only 14,000.
We can't hear you anymore. Well,
I was muted.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Can I continue?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. Only about 14,000 square kilometers, 1.4 million hectares of Netherlands can be classified as arable land. But do you know interesting thing? We have more arable land in the southeast, twice that of what we have in Netherlands. But on annual basis, Netherlands export nothing less than $120 billion worth of agro commodities. From dairy, out of a herd of our 1.6 million cows, they employ 47,000 people in that sector. They have 18,000 dairy centers. They produce 12 billion liters of milk and 800,000 tons of cheese annually. That sector alone gives them about $10 billion. Interestingly, Nigeria imports about $1 billion worth of the same product. Netherlands has greenhouse technology, greenhouse farms that covers almost about 10,000 hectares. So we are trying to replicate similar thing in the southeast, working with the diasporas. Fortunately for us, we are working and partnering with Desengov Israel, looking at some of their staff from Igbo extraction who worked with them and who has retired. What are we trying to do? In the southeast, I think from Niger State, and in the 184 electoral wards in Niger State, in every of the ward, we are setting up 15 greenhouses. To set up a greenhouse with all the infrastructure in place to support it takes about 12.8 million. But on an annual basis, each greenhouse by 50 feet by 100 feet returns at least 22 million naira annually, doing 2 cycles, producing the vegetables, the habanero, the bell pepper, and the tomato, the best species you can ever think of. And each of these greenhouses can last for 15 years. So basically, what we are trying to do, there are some diasporas who has put themselves in cooperatives. For example, now, if we come to Umuahia North, we are looking for the diasporas of Umuahia North who will put themselves in cooperative. It's a way of creating job for their people. We will help them to set up the greenhouses, put in place top management that will manage it for them. Our role as the Southeast Farms is an initiative, a PPP initiative, owned 10% by Abia State government and 90% by private sector investors, and have a lot of technical professionals in the agri sector that are working with us to develop this. So basically, what we want to create in the next 3 years is a massive 18,690 units of greenhouses in the southeast that will take about 210 billion naira to establish under cooperative initiatives. Every electoral ward will raise about 15. The 15 will cost about 15 times 12 million. And like the medical doctors I'm talking about, they've taken over one electoral ward in Umuahia North. They are raising the money required for that, about 180 million. It is their own cluster, and they will own it for the next 15 years. Our job is to help them to midwife it, to help them to nurse it, to help them to develop it. And at the end of the day, we are not charging them anything apart from any profit that comes from every of those clusters. They will take 80%, and Southeast will take 20%. We've run the numbers from every greenhouse that will take about 12.5 million to establish with all the infrastructure, the borehole, and the input. They will be making about 22 million naira from it. Double cycle. Of course, the cost is fixed. The subsequent year, the only thing that will be coming is the input cost, which is about 3 million. So their profit in the second year will almost triple. The third year going forward for the remaining 15 years. That is number one. Number two, we want to replicate what Michael Okpara did. The Tenera species of the palm tree, which the Malaysians and Indonesians have planted, and which makes it possible for them to produce palm oil in Indonesia and ship it 11,000 kilometers to Nigeria, and it will still be cheaper than what we produce here. Basically, what we have here are the old palm species that were created by the military. That those are about 3 tons per hectare. But fortunately for us, Wima is already in Nigeria. Wima is in Cross River State. They've done over 25,000 hectares of the new terrain there, and we are partnering with them. Most of the seedlings that we have are the Malaysian hybrid species. And basically what we want to do, out of the 1,246 electoral wards in the Southeast, in 95 local government areas in 5 states, we are going to be developing at least 100 hectares in every of this electoral ward. And the arrangement is very simple. In every of the electoral wards, some electoral wards are made up of 3 communities. We can ask them, okay, donate 25 or 30 hectares. We'll provide them with mechanized equipment to clear their land. We will provide them with seedlings, the hybrid species, because most of these guys do not have the money. So we'll provide them with the species under an arrangement that whatever is produced in that farm, we will offtake it. In the next 2 years, we will have at least planted in the southeast of Nigeria, working under an MCD PPP framework, missions, community, diaspora, private, public partnership arrangement. The mission is mostly involving the churches, the Catholic women or Christian women organizations. The diasporas comes in because they have the funding. The communities because lands are communally owned, and we will not want anybody losing their land to predators. So the communities will own the land. So basically what they will do, in every community, they will set up a cooperative for the sake of this. And these cooperatives, this community will subscribe. But at least there will be 100 of their sons that will be donated. Each of them will be managing 1 hectare. So in every of the electoral wards, we will have 100 hectares of the new terrestrial species done under this MCD PPP framework. And that is why we need government to come to play here. I don't see the reason why we should have open grazing in the southeast of Nigeria. I come from a village known as Amago Ihube Autonomous Community in Okiwo local government area. Growing up in the village, I understood the power of communal laws. In my village, if you allow your goat or your sheep to leave the pen and stray into somebody's farm, the person has a right to confiscate that goat or sheep, and you will ransom that sheep or goat, or the person will slaughter it, and the community will back that person. I come from a village where if you're seen smoking Indian hemp, old women will gather and carry all manner of dirty things and come and point into your compound as a word of protest. So I don't see where we have a traditional arrangement, a culture in place where we do not allow people, animals to go and destroy other post crop. Yet in the larger context, we need to get the governors. And that is one of these that we'll be presenting on the 27th of March. I'll be very frontal. I'll be very, very aggressive about it. I'll be very caustic if necessary. There is no way we will have a small land mass of 28,000 square kilometers. And our governors will not muster the courage. Initially, they said, oh, Buhari was president then. And Buhari, he was the grand patron of these herdsmen. Therefore, you don't want to antagonize. But today, Buhari is no longer president. The president is from the southwest. The president is not an animal husbandry man. The president is not a Fulani herdsman. So I don't know why the governors will not muster courage and go to their state assembly and execute the anti-open grazing law. And we are not antagonizing anybody. Part of the schemes we are trying to put in place, I told you about Netherlands, 1.6 million cows, 18,000 dairy centers. So we what we are trying to do now, part of the schemes we are putting in place, in every of these senatorial zone in the southeast, we have 15 senatorial zones, 3 per state. We are going to be setting up, we are working with a group, Esmed Tel Aviv. Esmed has some of the biggest cattle ranch in kibbutz in Israel. It's in a very arid desert, Negev. They have cows that produce about 60 liters of milk every day under air-conditioned arrangement. The third biggest rancher in Nigeria is an Igbo man. In fact, the guy had to leave Kano and go to Shagamu to set up. And we've been talking with him, talking with Esmed. The plan is, in every of the senatorial zone in the southeast, we are going to be having a ranch, working with Esmed as technical partners. We are going to be having the Frisian cows, 5,000 milk producing species and the 500 bulls. The plan is to have 75,000 of it in the southeast. This 75,000 will be able to generate at least 579 million liters of milk and 100,000 cheese. And interesting, someone talked about the current power situation in the east. From every of these clusters, we'll be able to generate about 30 megawatts, 10 to 30 megawatts of power using the animal poo-poo. You know, that is the kind of thing we want to do. The arrangement is, apart from the ranch, we are going to have foliage and centers about 200 to 300 hectares where we will do the maize, the sorghum, and the animal feed. Now, for those that want to come from Niger, from whatever part of the world, with their cows, while we now raise our own, you are not going to bring your cow and be grazing it along the route. In these centers, we are going to provide security in each of these centers. You bring your cow, you come and put your cow there before it is being slaughtered. Your cows will have free food. Your cows will have drinks. You will pay some token for housing your cows there. Because one of the reasons why they give to allowing their cows to graze aimlessly and destroy post-farm is because before the cows are slaughtered, they need to be fed. They will provide them clusters in every senatorial zone, where even if you're bringing 1,000 cows from Kano, from Niger, you will put it in that place, have free food, free foliage for the cows, and then you will pay a stipend. Everybody will have an ID card in such a way that there will be no excuse for any criminal or any bandit or any terrorist to go around wielding AK-47 and hiding under the edges of herdsmen to be creating insecurity and kidnapping in the southeast. So there are diverse sectors we are looking at. The Cavendish, we plan to do about 12,460 hectares of the new Cavendish that will enable us exporting not less than $300 million worth of the Cavendish banana. Interestingly, Ghana was not part of the Cavendish value chain, but the Ghanaian government in 2006 partnered with a group from Germany. They started today. They do almost about $300 million worth of Cavendish. I was privileged to interact with the group, and they're willing to come to the south of Nigeria. And there's nothing they are doing that is skyrocket science. These are things that we can replicate here. And then another interesting aspect of it. Are you guys aware that the staple food, one of the staple food in China is pork? Annually, the Chinese consume about $54 billion worth of pork. Over $7 to $10 billion worth of it is imported from the US. From the US to China is about 11,600 kilometers. The nearest port in US, from over the airport or Abuja airport or Lagos airport to the city of China, any of the Chinese ports, is about 10,000 kilometers. It's actually easy to move pork from Nigeria to China. And you know the interesting thing, I was privileged to speak to one of the Chinese ambassadors. And the demographics was so shocking. The guy told me that the Chinese in Sub-Saharan Africa consume about $3 billion worth of pork. And most of the pork comes from Brazil. And then I was talking with him. In fact, he was the guy that opened my eyes to go into pig and pork. He was even the one that provided me with the TN70 species, the type of species that they prefer. They say the meat is very brittle. I started one of the biggest pig pen in the southeast, in Okigo, my village. I went outside the city where we have spring water to create artificial water so that even the pigs will have source of water. One night, those pigs were slaughtered. 10 weeks pig, about 100 of them, by hungry unknown gunmen. In fact, they slaughtered the meat, carried the carcass, and then wrote letters and pasted on my wall that they are hungry. So, and that was the end of that. Now, imagine if we have security cordon in the South, not the kind of thing that they are doing. We have pleaded with them, and the security arrangement will such arrangement. See, the president of Nigeria today promised that he was going to recruit 50 million youths into the army. We do not need 50 million youths being recruited to the army. P2P did similar thing in Anambra State. When Anambra was a beehive of terrorism and kidnapping, what did he do? Every community knows those who are the good, the bad, and the ugly. If the governors are sincere, they don't even need Abuja to protect their people. Anambra did it under P2B. For 5 years, Anambra was the most secure state in Nigeria. We beg these governors. If we set up a security trust fund of about 30 billion naira to start off, which would cost us about 6 billion to maintain annually on as recurrent expenditure, the diasporas can actually fund it. But it must be transparent and it must be able to protect our people. And what is the arrangement? Under the Firearm Use Act, the NSA can actually provide the authority to the governors to procure AK-47. But even if they feel that the governors may go rogue, the National Security Advisor and the Army can decide to recruit 100 youths from every ward, not 100 youths selected by the politicians, 100 youths in every electoral ward. The community leaders, the traditional rulers, the church group, they will come together. Every community knows those who are the good, the bad, and the ugly. They know the chain smokers, they know the Igbo smokers, they know the thieves. They will select 100 of their children in every of the 8,809 electoral ward. We will train them. In Okiwo, where I come from, we have the 11 electoral ward. That simply means we will have 1,100 youths, which is more than a battalion of the army. They will be trained under the military. They will become a special military rangers under the military high command. But they will be posted to man and protect their community. They will have AK-47. They will have truck-mounted machine guns produced by Innocent, by Proforce, or by Pro-North. They will have 4 armored vehicles in every local government area. Under this special arrangement, each of them now will provide cover for the 1,000 hectares of cluster industrial farm with all the shared facilities, light, power, solar power, water, and everything, irrigation kits. And I tell you, if we do this and we provide that security, one of the reasons why we have unknown government in the Southeast today is absence of leadership. There was a vacuum. And since there was leadership vacuum, security vacuum, some of these miscreants entered in to create their own chaos. If we have this special arrangement, the narration that social governor has signed agreement with Fulani herdsmen take over now will not be there, because the community selected their own sons and daughters. They will provide them with intelligence. And very simple thing. If you have 1,100 youths, honest youths, and you pay them well, we're going to be paying them 150,000 naira every month. We are going to provide them with health insurance cover, comprehensive. We are going to provide them with life insurance of about 20 million naira for each of them. We have articulated the arrangement, how this thing will be funded, how this funding will be repaid, and how it will be so profitable that every stakeholder, in fact, it will be so profitable, it will be so excellent that youths will be jostling to join these agro rangers under a store arrangement where we do not place guns in the hand of rogues, because there will be authority, every community will be gated, there will be communication equipment, there will be transparency in the whole process. It's not a case of this Benketa thing where governors put all manner of thugs, all manner of criminals, all manner of people they used to rig election and give their uniform and gun, and they go about burning houses and killing people. This will be. Do you know that in the 1960s, the police of the old Eastern Nigeria was reputed to be so professional and efficient that when there was need to make peace in Congo Democratic Republic, they did not ask for National Police of Nigeria. They came to the old Eastern Nigeria to ask for the police because they were reputed to be very disciplined and very efficient and professional. So we can replicate the same thing. See, guys, the diasporans are very key in this thing. And the diasporans can only participate when the governors, I tell any governor I was talking to one governor, I said, do you know that under this cluster arrangement that we're putting in place, even if you keep your jack, we're not asking for your jack, keep your jack, keep your fact. In fact, collect it and eat it. But allow us to build up our hinterlands. Allow, see, because if you have security and you know that everything we're going to be producing here will be off-taken. And how does the diasporans come in here? There are Nigerians in China. And we decide today, if they put the framework in place, if we produce more than, if we do clusters of 1,000 pigs pen in every local government area in the Southeast, in a space of 5 years, we'll be making about 1.2 trillion naira exporting the pork just in West Africa, not even to China. If we now grow to the extent that we are able to meet the needs of the Chinese in West Africa, we will have our brothers who will provide off-take arrangement in China. I will be shipping it there. If the Americans can be shipping $10 billion, $7 billion worth of pork, we can do it from the Southeast. But the problem we have is that we need the political support. We need the physical arrangement. We need the security cover to let these things happen. We've done the numbers. It is so humongous. We will be creating about 300 to 600,000 jobs annually. We will create over 20,000 millionaires annually in the Southeast. Sustainable millionaires, not one-off millionaires. We will be creating massive economy. In fact, the IGR that will be coming from the Southeast will be far more than what they can ever generate from FAC and Jack. These things are so easy to do. See, Netherlands is doing $120 billion annually. And there's nothing that they are doing that is out of the world. There's no rocket science. The only problem is that they have leadership. They have a transparent system. They have a security cover that's able to allow people to go into honest enterprise. Do you know that to do a hectare of the palm plantation, which can give you about 3 million naira annually from the fresh fruit bunch alone, unprocessed over the next 70 years, you require about just 2.5 million naira. From year 1 to 3rd year when it starts fruiting. The average diaspora in Nigeria, even the poorest diaspora in Nigeria can easily do 10 hectares. But we need to put the structure in place. The man who is going to be taking $1,000, which is about 1.5 million, or $2,000 of his hard-earned money from the US, to say, okay, I want to support 2 hectares in my village, and I want to employ 2 youths in my village that will manage it. The person must at least be assured that if he invests $2,000 here, that can be able to give him 1 or 2 hectares, that nobody will go there to burn those plantations when they start fruiting. Let me stop here so that we'll be able to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nnaemeka. This is very, very insightful. And I know we have a lot of questions for you. I'm just going to add a few things just to buttress what you have said about the diasporans. I believe in some of the research I did that diasporans have remitted over 22 billion US dollars to Nigeria. That is a whole lot of money. My question to that effect is, what do we do to see if we can bring in only 10% of these diasporans to Nigeria to invest this money into these enterprises you are talking about? Because out of the 22 billion that we're talking about, more than 80% of those, that amount of money went into Ashwebi and Paris, not into production. So if only we can start developing our communities, giving them jobs, so you don't have to send them money every week, they can make their own money. Well, that brings me to the question of, you talked about Okpara and the rest of them. Those are the days when Nigeria had integrity. Nigerians have the fear of God in them. Now, we need a mind shift. And that is going to be instrumental to the success of everything you have just discussed now. I was discussing with somebody yesterday, said that Nigerians are very lazy now. Nobody wants to do anything. All they are interested in is their cell phone, see if they can extract $10, $5 from anybody in overseas. And they are getting the money. So how would you convince those people now to come back and become productive when they can easily, fraudulently take money from somebody elsewhere around the globe? So, and then just to add to what program you have, because that has also been bothering me, in my own thinking, one and easy way to solve this herdsman's problem is for Nigerians, wherever they are, probably mostly in the south, because that's where we have the most arable land, to start developing hay for them. So you bale the hay, instead of them bringing their cattle down to south to graze, we ship the food to them. Let them use it over there to train their cattle. That way, they don't have to come to the south. But everything you have just talked about and what I'm talking about now needs a political will. If there's no political will, we can dream as much as we want, nothing is going to happen. So I thank you again for coming around to talk to us. And if you can please throw some light into these small areas and how we can create a think tank as DADA that will help resource funds into a targeted investment. I know you presented some targeted investment here, and we in DADA also would like to collaborate with you, see how we can also be able to help our communities back home, so they don't have to bother us for money all the time. Thank you. I don't know if you can speak to some of these points that I raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you rightly pointed out, the arrangement we have, one of the reasons why they do this, they will tell you the cows that they are bringing in. Interestingly, it's estimated that we consume over 2.4 trillion naira worth of cow. And most of this consumption happens in the southeast, where we use cow for burial, for parties, for weddings, and all those stuff. So you rightly pointed out the plan we had accommodates what you suggested. Beyond having the ranches, we will be doing about 200 hectares of foliage farms. Foliage farms is where we produce the feed for the animal. And we provide sheds. It's going to be like a camp. If you're coming with your trailer of cow, bring your trailer of cow, come and bring it there, drop those cows there. You will pay to feed them in that place. Nothing is free of that because those cows are for sale. If those cows are going to be there for 10 days before they are slaughtered or before you sell them, you have hays to feed them and you pay for them. We don't even need to export the hays to them there. We have 15 centers, one in every senatorial zone. Bring your 20 trailers of cow. There's enough feed for them. Drop them there, camp there. There's going to be hotels, cheap hotels there. You will lodge and you pay. Feed them. If you're going to stay 5 days, you're going to stay 6 days, there's enough food for them. You pay, you sell, you go back. No longer will you be allowed to carry cows and roam about, destroying farmers' crops, or hiding under the aegis of herdsmen to be combing the land and be kidnapping people for ransom. It will not happen again. And for these things to happen to the governors more, I feel so. If I'm a governor today, one of the first things I would do within my first 100 days of office is to see. You see, sometimes I begin to wonder, there's no governor that does not have at least 150 billion naira to 200 billion naira revenue every year. If I dedicate 10% of 200 billion, 20 billion to fighting insecurity in my state, if you see any criminal or kidnapper or bandit in my state, hold me responsible after 1 year, after 6 months. We will drive them out. People did it. It's a no-brainer. You have to carry the communities, every community. You see, why some of these communities seem helpless? There's what we call unlawful terror. If 10 people with AK-47 walks into a defenseless community, everybody will take off, even if you have 10,000 people in that community. But if 20 people with AK-47 walks into a community that has 100 youths who have AK-49 and a truck-mounted machine gun or one-armored car, it's suicidal. They will annihilate the 10 even before they enter the city because they will have picked them up through their intelligence network. Where I come from, if a stranger walks into my community, we'll pick him out within seconds. We know, because we know ourselves. Every community is like a kindred thing. We know the people. If a stranger walks into my community of about 10,000 people, we easily notice it. It's no brainer. You will see somebody say, this face looks strange, Joe. Who is the son of this? Who is the father of this person? You will know, and people will start asking questions. So basically, we've even told them that we can have a system where every Okada rider, every Keke rider will be enumerated. They will have ID card linked to their tax identification number. We will have agencies in every electoral ward, manned by 4 people, that will, if you are not registered, you will be confiscated. You see, there are things that we need leadership. We need courageous leadership. And I've told these governors, you can keep your fat, keep your jack. If you provide security in the Southeast, I come from a community where every year the diasporans come home under some agency arrangement to provide medical care. They spend between $10, $20, $50,000. But for the past 3 years, they've not come back home. And because they've not been home, many people have been dying of sicknesses that are avoidable. And many young men that will have gotten temporary job or relief, we are not getting, you know what it means for a community to be receiving $50,000 every Christmas. Insecurity have driven away those diasporas from America. They're not coming back. So we understand that a lot has to do with governance. The diasporas should also be allowed to vote. They are forget about some of the very few who are agents of the politicians to help them launder money and buy properties offshore. 95% of the diasporas are very hardworking, honest, and sincere Nigerians who understand the place of good governance, the place of good investments. And if we put in place the right governance and security architecture in place, you're talking about $22 billion. We can easily attract $30 to $50 billion into Nigeria. 20 of those $1 billion going into the Southeast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And please, I would like to call Dr. Chete. She is going to be moderating the questions going forward. If you have any questions that you've posted on the chat, she's going to enumerate those questions. But if you have any extra questions you want to ask, please, raise up your hand so she can call on to you. Dr. Chete, thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Thank you, Chete.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Dr. Obiaraeri, for gracing this occasion. I'm Dr. Chete Ezanli. I'm a physician in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Board of Trustees, one of the member of Board of Trustees with DADA. Really so grateful to you for making our time to talk to us. Your brilliance, your analysis, your depth of analysis is just tremendous. I always make our time to watch anytime you're on Arise TV. And you really differentiate yourself in your content you offer. And at this time where a lot of Nigerians are in need for answers and clarity, really thank you for your being very brave, even publicly saying what needs to be said without missing any words. That really means a lot. I must confess too, I follow you on Twitter, and before I even read anything you write on Twitter, I put a like. So you can imagine how much admiration we have for you. And finally, really just to say we're grateful for your being visionary. If we have like maybe 10 or 20 of you, of people of your caliber being so visionary in a way a lot of us can't even imagine, then we're really is well set up for success. There's a lot of despondency in the Nigerian society today, but in spite of that, you have a hope that if we do the right thing, we'll get there. And you're not just talking, you're giving us like really practical ways you can get there, and that is really invaluable. So no matter the disappointments you face, particularly some of the governors who don't have any political will, we really encourage you to keep on pushing, and hopefully something will give. So yes, I'm gonna moderate this question and answer session. So I want to ask everybody. I see 3 hands are up. If you have questions, either you drop in the chat box or you can raise your hands. I'll call them. According to order of which you raised your hands. But I have 2 questions for you, Doctor. And after that, I'll take the questions of people who have raised their hands. And after that, I'll go to the chat box. So my number 1 question is, I know you listed out a lot of ways, some of the visions you have, and you're going to, expound on it and get diasporans involved. But I can tell you that every diasporan who wants to send their money back home for projects like this always worry, not even so much about return on investment, but whether their money is going to be used as it's supposed to be used in terms of accountability. And the reason why I say this is I don't know whether Dr. Cordelia Odo is here. She's one of our senior doctors who's really done a lot of phenomenal job investing back home. And she did mention to me once that during the Obasanjo era, Now, the Obasanjo did float diaspora investment funds in health, and a lot of doctors in diaspora bought into this, and the whole idea was to donate like $100,000 to some health initiative. And up to today, she knows like 5 of her colleagues who never, they changed the directors of the fund. The initial director was very good, and then it was changed to somebody else who made away with the funds. And these docs don't have anything to show for $100,000. I can't even imagine. You are probably familiar with those of us in diaspora. $100,000 is a lot of money. And this can account for it after 15 years. So I need, if you can show way, sort of like some kind of things you've put in place to help people, be accountable for the amounts, the more the funds they invest. That would sort of increase the confidence of people investing. So that's number one. Number two, and I'll be really quick. Sorry, because I wanted to say anybody asking questions should be quick, but I'm not showing a good example. But I'll be quick with the question number two. Our topic today really is, how diasporas can help economic situation in Nigeria in the current dispensation. A lot of things you said are really very remarkable and, will be great if eventually it's implemented. But in the case where it's not, then some of the things may not, be, implemented as well as it should be. But specifically, I wanted to address some of us in diaspora have been making investments on an individual basis, right? Maybe you buy like 10 hectares of land and you want to invest in some agro business and stuff like that, but you're not on ground. Are there any agro management firms that can help diasporans manage these businesses? Assuming I buy 10 hectares of land and I want to grow oil palm like the Tenara species, I'm a big I'm very interested in agro. So if you have this land, do you know of any like agro firms who can help plant and manage, and all you just really need to do is for them to give you accounting? If you can talk towards that. Okay, so those are my two questions. And after I answer, then I'll take the questions from people who have raised their hands. Thank you.
Okay, I will start from the last question. And it's very unfortunate that a government set up a fund to drive health, and people that invested in that fund are now finding it difficult to collect back their fund. I'm shocked that there were no structures put in place to protect investors. Like I mentioned to you, the first thing we did was set up an agri management company known as the Southeast Farms and Agricultural Processing Company Limited, www.sefapco.com. You can check it online, www.sefapcol.com. And that outfit is owned 10% by the Abia State government through the PPP office. Another group, Future View, is owned by Mrs. Elizabeth Ebi, the first female bank MD in Nigeria. She was the MD of JP Morgan Chase in 1993 when they used to have subsidiary in Nigeria. The other shareholder and director is Mr. Johnson Chukwu. Johnson Chukwu is one of the best investment bankers in Nigeria. He runs the Cowrie Asset Management Company and he owns Virgin Forest Energy, a downstream oil operator based in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Then we have Palm West Malaysia and some other outfits, and of course my own outfit. And what is the whole essence? We are working with a lot of technical partners, with those directors in NIHOT, IITA, and faculties in University of Agriculture, Umudike. Now, I am shocked that a government should set up a fund that investors will lose their money. I've been an investment banker for the past 23 years. And any investment that everybody is going to put in place must have bank guarantees. You live in the US, you discover that how do they fund agriculture? At least there's no way I don't know of anybody who lives in the US that will tell me that one day somebody has ever walked into his office the way we do in Nigeria, Babiala banking. I say, I'm a banker, give me deposit. Give me deposit. That is not how banking is done anywhere in the whole world. How banking is done in America, most of the biggest agro credit funds are owned by cooperatives. I'll give you an example. Cow farmers set up their own cooperative. Millet farmers set up their own cooperative. Basically what they do, where government comes in place. If, for example, they aggregate as okay, they want to do, for like those who produce pork, that goes into Chinese market. If they said, okay, they want to raise $5 billion to be able to produce enough pig and pork to export to China, what the cooperative will do, they know themselves. There's no stranger that comes in, like Nigeria, where we wasted 10 trillion naira on ghost farmers that never came back, and yet we didn't have anything out of it, because it's all Ponzi criminality by government of the day. Basically, and we're trying to eliminate that criminality by putting in place the right structures. These cooperatives come together. They aggregate the amount of money they want to raise. They counter guarantee each other. There's no stranger that will come among them. Remember that funds are limited, but the needs are unlimited. If there are 10,000 farmers under cooperative, maybe in 1 year, only about 10,000, only about 1,000 may have access to the funding. So every other person will be sure that this money goes out, must come back. And what they do is they create commercial papers. And the commercial papers may be okay, it may be naira denominated. And they will be so, okay, for those who subscribe to this commercial paper and give us money, we're going to pay you 20% per annum. Where government comes into play, if we have serious government, is government provides guarantee. If you watch most of the commercial papers that are raised by these agri-credit agencies in the US, are normally done based on the same rate with the USA 10-year bond yield instrument. Very single digits, 4.3%. In such ways, the investors who are subscribing to these notes are guaranteed of their funds. In situations where Southeast is going to help to run any of this outfit, we normally post bank guarantee. What bank guarantee simply means, if an investor is investing $10 million or $5 million in this project, there's a ready bank that says, if at the end of the day, these funds are diverted, we will pay you. There's also NAIC, Nigeria Insurance Corporation, that provide insurance cover for this investment, at least protection of the capital. But beyond that, basically what we do, like there are some projects we are anchoring now. There's even a diaspora that we're doing a project in Ibadan. The man and his wife, they are based in the UK. They bought 5 hectares of land. They fenced it themselves. It's their land. To make the cost of labor cheap, we are using coppers. The coppers are there. He is doing Tenera. He is doing 2 hectares Tenera. He is doing 2 hectares Cavendish. You are not giving money to anybody. If, for example, now I'm buying my Cavendish from IITA or from Nighthawk, IITA is a very reputable organization. As we are bringing the Cavendish, we are planting it. The man insures it. It is in his land. He's not dragging it with anybody. The only thing that we owe him is to ensure that the yields from those farms are not diverted. I know of a man, Senator Tanachonu invested billions of naira to set up the biggest greenhouse in the whole of the Southeast. He has about 300 greenhouse in his village in Umunumo. That 300 greenhouse gives him about 6 billion naira every year. He has an artificial river he developed from an erosion, an area that practically erosion was trying to carry the community. He turned that erosion center into artificial lake. He created embankments, shoreline protections, and turned it into and built artificial lake. There will be almost about 12 million fish annually. He'll be drying them and exporting them. So basically, there are diverse measures we are going to put in place to ensure that the investors' funds are protected. And I encourage anybody, if you're from Abia State, begin to rejoice. Like the one we are doing in Umuahia North. The center we are using was the Ulonna farm settlement that was done by Michael Obara, that successive governments abandoned. I'm going to share the drone picture with you guys. It's a vast expanse of land that transfers from Umuahia North into Ben, the local government area. Over 50 hectares to 100 hectares of land. Basically, what we are going to do, Umuahia North government is going to give us a guarantee. A bank, they are going to post bank guarantee. And that is the way they can attract investors, because they are not borrowing money, but they are providing guarantee, security guarantee. They are going to provide guarantee that nothing that we plan there will be tampered with. Unlike the money we lost in Umuahia, in Ohafia, where we wasted 328 million naira. This time around, I told them, based on experience, you are going to give us guarantee. Of course, if earthquake happens, he will be shielded. He's not the one that brought earthquake. Earthquake will not happen. But if any of the farm plant, if any of the orchards are destroyed by unknown gunmen or by miscreants. Like what happened in Okwa. We brought a group from China that wanted to do ethanol plant. Those guys acquired 170 hectares of land and they wanted to clear it to plant cassava. They will use the cassava for the ethanol plant. One night, miscreants, you know, these community people that want to come and give us money for the land, they wanted to kidnap the Chinese. The Chinese walked away. They never went back to Abia State. We lost an investment that would have brought in about $10 million into Abia State. The government of the day then, the PDP government, for whatever it is worth, did not care that they lost $10 million investment because of the activities of jobless Igbo smoking hoodlums who call themselves youths. So if we have a responsible government, like when we went to that old London, some youths came out. The local government chairman told them, you guys know me. I am not like any of those people. That I am a man. This guy told him, he said point blank, if anything happened to any investment here, he will personally come after them. And they all pleaded their loyalties, submitted their and everything. And we told them we are going to employ them, we are going to use them. The truth is that leadership is very key. Abia State is getting it right. And we pray that the other 4 states will join suit. Interestingly, when I was talking to the medical doctors, some of them from the far side, even some from Bayelsa State, they told me point blank, Nnaemeka, this is beyond love for their own home states, that they want me to do it for them in Umuahia, Abia State, and which is very, very good. My sister is very unfortunate. I'm shocked to hear that a fund that was put together by government, they up to now, they can, and I will tell them, another thing again, I was privileged to speak to some group of medical doctors. Let me tell you something that will shock you. The Apollo group in India started the same time, 3 years after Eco Hospital in Lagos. Today, Apollo group has about 6 branches. Most of Nigerians that go to India for medical tourism go to Apollo group. Apollo group has an Israeli partner known as ESMED. ESMED is a conglomerate. They're into agri, they're into health. What does ESMED do? They come into a country. They look for partners. They supply their own equity contribution is 50% equipment, all manner of diagnostics, medical equipment. That's their own contribution. And of course, they link the clinic to their center in Tel Aviv, real time, on time. We tried discussing when Nnaemeka was governor of Abia State. You know that Rochas built 26 carcasses that used to loot 29 billion naira. We now told them, we now asked Nnaemeka to give us 3 of those units in every of the senatorial zones. Nnaemeka agreed before he was removed by the Supreme Court. What was the arrangement? We valued the place. It is Nigerian medical doctors. I'm so shocked that people will give money without even asking questions. What we agreed was that the doctors will set up their own cooperative. They will contribute $10,000 a month. There were about 80 of them. It will be their equity contribution. The governor will hand us over those properties and give us CFO, and we'll pay over 30 years. ESMED will bring $10 million worth of equipment as support. They will own the clinic. It's their own clinic. They will run it themselves. They will employ those that will run the clinic. All that government need to do is to give them CFO and provide security for them. Our plan was to create world-class medical centers in each of the senatorial zones in Imo State as pilot scheme. If it had succeeded, we will have replicated it in every of the senatorial zones in the Southeast. What we wanted to do was, out of the 2.5 billion naira that is wasted every year on medical tourism, at least if we can grab 10% of it coming to the Southeast, that would be sufficient, about $250 million. But the governor that took over from Nnaemeka, that place is still lying fallow. Those hospitals are now being converted to hiding places for rodents, for herdsmen, and all manner of things. So that's the kind of leadership vacuum that we have in Nigeria. But I can assure you, based on extensive 23 years experience, I have lost money, I won't kid you, and I will not want anybody losing his money. We have put in place structures in place to ensure that people will control their investment. It's not just enough to invest and look away. If you have 1 hectare, we will make sure that it is planted, and we will offtake, like the Terra plantations that we're doing. We have 4 factories, 2 have been destroyed. The 2 that is operating do not even have enough stock. Basically, our plan is, if we're able to get the buy-in of the diasporas, if we can raise diasporas setting up tenera in their if we have any community that can give us at least 1,000 hectares of tenera, we will go to that community and set up integrated palm and palm value processing company to take whatever you produce, we will buy from you. So it's not a wasted investment. If you spend 2 to 2.5 million to do a hectare of the tenera, Every year for the next 50 years, you'll be making at least 3 million naira just harvesting this. You don't even need to be there. Just plant it and hand it over to us. We will bring people that will be harvesting it. Or you'll be getting your money. Of course, it's a small change for those of you in America. You can use it to settle your brothers and sisters in the village. And interestingly, my daughter was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ah. Yeah, it's a good place. It could be better though.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. This is so phenomenal. Okay, let's go over to the questions. Dr. Chukwudi Omojeje, have your hand up.
Thank you so much, Teta, and I'm trying to remember your name. It's just when you get so excited that Nnaemeka, and when you get so excited and you have so much adrenaline running in you, it just this is one of the wonderful talks that I've actually just listened after for a long while. And whenever you talk, you remind me of Peter Obi. You talk, you have the same mindset and the background that actually Nigeria needs to get better. I'm based here. My name is Dr. Mujeje. I'm an endocrinologist based in America, and I've been a very avid believer that Nigeria will get better. Personally, I've lost a lot of money trying to invest in Nigeria and better Nigeria in agriculture, in lands, and so many things. It hasn't worked. And when I listen to you talk, there is a lot of hope. There is a lot of, the knowledge is phenomenal. Your knowledge is phenomenal. The only problem I've had personally investing in Nigeria, especially in agriculture, is insecurity. And most of the things that you mentioned, even personally, what you have lost, is not because you have not done a good job. It's not because you haven't done that. But there are some of these circumstances that is beyond our control. We had Peter Obi that is a good governor. Are you guaranteed that the next governor is good? We have Oti that is a good governor. Is the next governor going to be good? If you plan according to those, even the current things that you have now, and things go south the next time, you're going to lose money. So as an investor and as as a diasporan, you look at the infrastructure and that is the biggest concern, because you want something that is sustainable. There is a lot of on instability, and they move from one government to another. We have this articulate, your points are very, very well articulate, and it all goes to the ground, this thing. But my problem is that this is the ones you can control. The ones you cannot control, how do you convince investors? Because personally, I am very committed, not just putting in my own money, but also coordinating our colleagues here to really get into a fund that can be able to do a lot of those things. But for you to get anybody to do that, and if you want to put your name into such a thing, you need to make sure that this is going to be a watertight, that even if you have another governor that goes rogue, people's monies are not going to be good. They're not going to go away. And also, the second question I wanted to ask you, talked a whole lot about places more in Imo and all that. Do you have any current projects in Anambra? Because I am from Nnaemeka, and in Nnaemeka, we are known for community development. At this moment, we have so many community development that that are being run by Nnaemeka Development Union. And these are individuals that are invested. Personally, we invest so much money. We're having like the networks, the water networks. We're doing refurbishing all the schools. These are initiatives that are done by Nnaemeka people. And I know that when we listen to you, and if we have some of this initiative that we can bring home, because that's what I understand you're doing, something that is local, that can help your local area prosper. So I'm wondering whether you'll be open to having those initiatives with people of Nnaemeka to bring those infrastructure back home. And finally, coming back to that to DADA. DADA is what brings us together, and we really want DADA to be an avenue where people in diaspora will have a safe haven to invest, and knowing that your investment is not going to go away, knowing that we know people that know what they are talking, and not just knowing what they're talking, knowing how to follow these investments in real time, because it's all about monitoring and taking the metrics, making sure that things are not lost in the way. Things are not lost. Once you have a way to measure these things and follow it through, people are going to invest, and you'll be surprised. But we don't have that right now. I've not experienced personally anywhere that you have that proper accountability. you know, when you invest the money, you have something that track the progress and know that these things are very, very accountable. If these things are going to be good, I think DADA will be happy. I know that most, in as much as we want a better Nigeria, you know, start with creating that environment that creates security for people to bring back money, because that's the only thing we can. If we're able to bring back money and make Nigeria to export in return for dollar, that is how economy gets better. So if you're able to address these 3 points, I will be very, very happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chukwudi. Interestingly, I know Nene very, very well. Nene is from where Tony Mask, you know, is Tony Mask town. I know.
That's true.
Yes, Azubike, his son, who runs his office, is my very close friend. Interestingly, both of us also were into oil and gas. I run one of the biggest oil depot in the southeast, Taros Oil. So I know Nene very, very well. I've been to Nene many times, and I'm married from Idan, Idemili North. So,
It's
my wife's from
interesting.
Idemili North. So Nene is. We have some projects in Anambra State too. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying where people. You know, if you have your own group in Nene, my team can always go to Nene to set it up. And interestingly, the current commissioner for land in Anambra State, Professor Muchazi, is my very good friend. The younger sister was my colleague in the back and my partner in SEFAPCO. So I know him very, very well. Anambra is actually, like the last time I discussed with him, was on the issue of the housing project. You know, I would say it because it's an open secret. One of the biggest investors in Nigeria who is into cement manufacturing is thinking about doing green real estate in 3 states. Anambra is one of those states that was picked, and Abia and Enugu State. And the plan was to do about 2,000 housing units under a PPP arrangement. And then, of course, they will start with 500. Anambra is one of the states, and they've been very proactive about it. Professor Muchazi has been very proactive about it. So they are already keen into this. And Nene is one of the secured communities in Anambra State. Nene, Nnewi North, and Nnewi South. Our people will be very much comfortable to go to Nene to start a project. If you have like minds, people from the same community, of course, our people are ready to travel anywhere in the southeast to set up clusters. And I will be very glad. On the Nene is my in-laws. Anambra is mine, so I will be glad to support you guys in whatever you want to do. But the most important is that transparency and accountability is very, very important. And you must have local buy-in into it. Your community must be involved. And I give you an example. You know, it's part of the issue of insecurity. In my community, when my father was alive, my father did about 6 hectares of cashew plantation. And over the last 3 years, I did about 300 plots for my mom. But interestingly, for the past 2 years, there's those plantations have been abandoned to unknown government. My mother had been out of the community for a year now because of insecurity. She's living with me. So imagine we have 6 hectares of cashew plantation, 300 plus of cashew plantation that are developed that should have been giving us massive money. But it's been abandoned to insecurity because the government of the day, so the Imo State government, is not doing anything to tackle insecurity. And when you hear this unknown government, they are not unknown, they are known. They are not people from Kara Namuda. These are our misguided, disgruntled younger brothers who, because they have access to AK-47, they wish to terrorize everybody. And the truth that if the government of the day is very sincere and they put in place the right mechanism, there was a time the madness was in Anambra, Abia State now. Osika and Co were terrorizing everybody. The people rallied drowned and chased them out. There was a time it happened in Anambra, Abia State. The shoemakers set up Bakassi and drove away the miscreants. Alibo has a mechanism to correct any wrong in our society. But we must have governors who are willing, who are ready, who are able to walk the talk. But unfortunately, apart from Anambra and Abia and maybe Enugu that has gotten it right, I don't know much about the Ebonyi guy, but Imo State is a not case. God will help us.
Thank you. Cheta, please. Is Cheta still with us? Cheta, are you still there?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nnaemeka. I think you did address, you talked about how your team will plan to protect the investments. I think, Chukwudi, I think you had 3 questions. I think he addressed everything, right? before we move
Yeah,
to
he did. I think probably we'll talk off side because
offline. Okay.
the issue about bringing, not just talking about these things, like especially the follow up and actually giving that time to time accountability. So this is something that we probably have to talk offline about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
Chukwudi, before you log off, can we in DADA put this responsibility on you to please coordinate with Dr. Nnaemeka to see how DADA can be part of this initiative back in Nigeria? And if it works well, we'll take it all over Africa. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that for sure.
Okay, great. Okay, the next question is, I'll call on Mr. Odinaka.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Doc. Good evening, and I
Good
must
evening, my
commend
brother.
you. I must commend you for what you've been doing. You've been inspiration to some of us. My name is Odinaka. I live in Houston, Texas. I am IT process analyst. I'm a long-term contractor with KPMG and PwC. So I work in IT process and infrastructure. So, like I said, I'm listening to you, and I've listened to you on a rise. You sometimes I want to ask myself, it's like, do you rehearse some of the things you say with P2B before you say it? Because it's like two of you are seemingly two sides of the same coin. The fact of the matter, like I always tell people around, that something that reverberates over and over again is truth. If something happened on like September 11, the truth is that there was a terror attack 50 years to come. That same thing is the truth. So what you say is the truth, and some of us that felt somehow downtrodden because of the event that happened in 2023, some of you, what the kind of things you do or say online and offline kind of motivate and enlivens our spirit once again, that there can as well be light at the end of the tunnel. I must commend you for what you say and what you do, and how you carry yourself full of knowledge, wisdom, and enthusiasm, at which you put your fingers on figures and facts and truth. Thank you so much for what you are doing. So
Thank you,
not
Odinaka.
taking so much time of the people, I want to reiterate some of the things have been asked earlier, and I've chatted a whole lot on message, but I want to reiterate again. The issue of security can never be overemphasized. And I assume everybody that's asking questions today will have to touch security. Before I came over here, I was working back in Nigeria. I rose to the rank of a senior manager in one of the biggest banks. So issue of security of your fund goes beyond and your investments. There are some within your control, some that are not within your control. Security in the Southeast is very key, and it's a microcosm of this, I would say, security in Nigeria as a whole. You stated earlier on that the former president, who was accused to be a patron of harassment, is out. That is a new one, a different other person now. But the fact of the matter is that the fact on ground has not changed. There's a new person. People are being slaughtered. People are being kidnapped. So individuals have changed, but situations remain the same. If you agree with me, so security in the Southeast, even though that some of them arguably are sponsored from outside. Of course, before Southeast is, we know they have the context of Onye Halawani. There have been relative peace in the Southeast before 2014. So, of course, we all know that a whole lot of factors came to play to instilling security in the Southeast. So, even though that even a whole lot of things, I would say, I wouldn't want to go into details. We all know. So, have the issue of security in the Southeast been resolved? You say something about the governors. Of course, you know that some governors in the Southeast are complicit as well in terms of the insecurity in the Southeast. Some of them use leverage and all these things. Especially during the election cycles, they pull some of these people. The AK-47 these guys get, who give it to them? Some of these politicians do. And they are still the same politicians who want to work with to restore security in the Southeast. Of course, you know how antithetical that could sound. And again, what business legal framework do we have in the Southeast as Nigeria as a whole? Southeast doesn't have its own different legal code. We'll see what happened during the electoral tribunal, where there were a whole lot of rigmarole, a whole lot of things that confuse even someone who is novice in the legal system. So what is that legal framework that will galvanize, encourage investors to come, ensuring that it doesn't matter the government that comes in and goes out? Even if I have an issue, there's a very fair rule of law that will secure my investment. In the Southeast in particular, because we're talking about Southeast now, and in conclusion, I'll still follow up with the last speaker about sustainability. Now everybody is craving for electricity because that is the people's will, right? Assuming electricity to live today, what do we do when Pharaoh that does not know Jacob comes on board? And of course, democracy, and especially see what happened with P2B. Those kind of Democrats wouldn't want to like foist someone else, like we have what we have in Lagos. So a new person comes aboard and throws this thing off board. So what are you going to do? If you run to the law will not help you. So how does a diasporan who has toiled his life and gotten something to invest help the change the narrative in the Southeast now? How do you find himself in that quagmire? What is he going to do? And finally, Southeast in the context of a bigger Nigeria. How are we sure that the forces outside is not going to come in to come and kind of sabotage what we are doing? You know what happened between Dangote and Ibeto when Obasanjo was president. So how are we sure that the context of a Southeasterner, that enemies from outside will not use one? Of course, we are not independent. Of course, that's why I still emphasize that it's ideal we get our regionalism on ground first. It will help us see liberalizing the power sector, see what is helping us in the South, in Abia State. Now, if we were still entangled where power is controlled by the center, independent power, Alex got it, we have in Abia State, that wouldn't be true. So how do we regulate ourselves around in all these quagmires seemingly? Of course, like I said, I'm very excited about having Abia, and from Instagram, we are not local government of Abia State. Every day I'm very, very excited. At least I thank God that my support, investment, and everything, ensuring that Alex comes to power is not a waste. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. On the issue of security, like I mentioned, a lot rests within the control of the governors. Any governor that tells you that he cannot provide security for his people is lying to you. Of course, you know what Alex did when he became governor. That law inter-axis used to be a no-go area. I'm from Okigwe. I cannot remember the last time I used that road to Enugu. From Enugu Airport to my village is about 1 hour drive. It's actually faster for me to get to my village from Enugu Airport than from our airport. But because of this security axis, I refused to take that Enugu Airport. But of course, what Alex did when he became governor was to move against those criminals hiding as herdsmen and Gariki traders. He destroyed their shanties, and he told them every market should open by 6 and close by 6. And of course, we heard the story that about 80 corpses, decomposed corpses, were discovered within that environment. Yeah. For the first time, the communities in Isochi, Ube, Utru, Lopa, they are now sleeping with their 2 eyes closed. You cannot drive through that road without being kidnapped like it used to be. That was the same axis where the former prelate of Methodist Church was kidnapped. And so, like I said, a lot rests in the hands of the governors. We are trusting God that LS will do 8 years. Abia had been liberated. Let nobody deceive you. Abia can never go back to the old ways of collecting fak and jack and sharing it without doing anything. And like I told you 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago, the deputy governor of Abia State was visited our agro park in Ohafia. And he made it, he put his feet on it and told them that there's a new sheriff in town, that on no account would they allow insecurity anywhere near our agro park. And this never happened. Interestingly, the former deputy governor of Abia State was from that community, yet he could not protect his people. But this new deputy governor was there. He drove himself. He didn't send anybody. And he made it clear. He went with military men. And as I'm talking to you, they're putting in place measures to provide local security and cordon the whole place. And we are going back to that agro park. And that agro park is an agro park alone that can hit about 12 billion annually. And we are going to invest there. A risk. We took the, there's something I've come to understand. We cannot run away from our communities because we feel that some miscreants have taken over. What Alex is doing today, if you observe, every other governor is sitting up. Anambra had been tried, but now everybody's waking up. Enugu State, the same thing. On Tuesday, Monday, the governor of Enugu State, for the first time, will be holding town hall meeting where he will take questions without, and Peter Mba is a technocrat. We expect that he will do things right. So I think things are looking up very, very well. I was even surprised when they extended the invitation to me to come and talk on 27th, because the general opinion out there, somebody said he was talking to one governor and he asked him, why are you people not involving Nnaemeka? The guy said, the guy is uncontrollable. This one, in fact, I was supposed to be a commissioner for finance in one of the later governments. Why did they not take me? They delayed the cabinet for 1 week. What was the debate? So the people close to him told him, this boy will send you to jail. If you make him commissioner for finance, you cannot divert money. If they come and ask, he will open up the books. And that was it. And of course, I have no regrets. You have to, at a time in somebody's life, you have to choose what you want to be in life and how you want to be. So basically, we'll be saying the truth. And of course, sometimes we also look back. Most of the times, I believe, like Adeboye will say, if your tie is not properly put, and somebody comes and tells you and whisper into your ear, please put your tie where? The person will say thank you and put it. But if you take the mic and say, look at your tie, you're looking so haggard, he will tell you it's a new style. I think our approach over the last years have not been helpful. Because, I say it the way it is, without minding whose us is God. But over time, I've refined the way I address them, tell them, keep on begging them, keep on speaking to them, keep on telling them. And they are listening. For them to even extend the invitation for me to chair the Agri Committee of the Southeast and to come and show them the pathway. That is a good step. I don't want us to be discouraged. I will want us to look at it from the other side. Ndibo has, like rightly pointed out, Ndibo has a mechanism for always resetting our communities when we go. We have always had periods of going it wrong. There was a time we had the Otokoto saga in the Imo State. Everywhere it was kidnapping and ritual, whatever. And 1996, people woke up and raised down and cleared the Otokoto saga. It has always been like that. No community is perfect. No society is perfect. Look at what happened in Russia. Nobody ever anticipated it. So we will keep on pushing. We'll keep on encouraging the governors. I am very, very sure they will do the anti-open grazing law. And we are going to hammer on it. We'll keep on pushing it. We'll keep on begging them. Go to Imo State today. The whole of agric belt in Imo State, from Ikeduru to Ngobala, have been overtaken by herdsmen. Women are being raped. A lot of things are happening that are not being announced. Nonsonkwa, one of the popular radio broadcasters, had always said it. And we have a government. Sometimes I begin to wonder, is that something they know that we don't know? I can't explain it. I can't put a finger to it. What is the big deal? When Peter was governor, Peter got the state assembly to pass a law. If your house is used to kidnap people, he will raise it down. There are a lot of houses that were raised down. Peter got approval from Yadua. He moved military men and cleared the camps where kidnappers used to the bushes where they used to have. And again, got the communities to donate their sons. Every of the 177 town union donated their sons. Peter went to Innocent and bought 177 trucks, bought motorcycles. He didn't even buy AK-47, gave them Shakabula. And if you go to Anambra State, that is the most, Anambra has the best road network. Sometimes you will see they have gates on every community. And they have communication gadgets. In 6 months, even the kidnapper was operating Anambra on the chat. They chased him to Lagos. From Benin, they chased him to Lagos. So governors have a lot to pray. We'll keep on begging them. We'll keep on pleading with them. And we'll keep on showing them how, sometimes they are very selfish. I was sharing with one governor. I told him, I said, do you know that the scheme that we are trying to put in your state, you can actually make 20 billion every year for the rest of your life, even when you're not governor? The man was looking at me, he said, is it possible? I said, it's possible. Keep your FAC, keep your jack. Just allow us, provide us with that cover. to help our people. And you will have the glory. The glory will go to you. We still talk about Michael Obara tomorrow. We still talk about Desamon Bakwete tomorrow. These men are long gone. But their names, Latif Jakande, their names, when their names invoke fond memories. Somebody asked a question. I think there was a question that was a text that came up, and then I can't remember again. Somebody sent a text. Let me check. There was a question that was asked. Okay, he said, can this investment project be taken to other parts of Nigeria? Yes. We are doing a project in Ibadan. One of the biggest real estate developers in Nigeria is trying to do 10,000 hectares of rice farm. We are in Ogun State. We are helping him to do it. So we are doing in Ibadan. We are doing in Ogun State. Any part of Nigeria apart from Sambisa Forest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Checha, please.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nnaemeka. We'll take the last person that's raised his hand, and then we'll check the chats real quick for questions. Mr. What number?
Hello?
Mr.
We
What
can hear
number?
you.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Dr. Nnaemeka, good evening from here in United States.
Good evening, my brother.
Yes, actually, my name is Gethsemane Ugochukwu. So I happen to have used our association name. I guess I used it to log in by accident. I'm the president of One Need the Number, a law enforcement and armed forces association here in the United States. You have brilliant idea, and ironically, you're talking about issue of security or insecurity in Nigeria. And in 2017, we were looking from here what was going on in the Southeast. We are professional shooters here. We have police officers, we have corrections, we have those in the military. And so we couldn't, like exactly what you said, we have miscreant criminals chasing away about 40 million Igbos, forcing us into exiles. So we decided to form this organization to bring our expertise to bear to help Southeast to have peace. While we are talking about the headsman, then we now talk about our own homegrown terrorists, the unknown gunmen terrorizing the people. So the point I'm trying to say that we are here as an organization. I heard you saying that you'll be sending some of your youth to the Nigerian military to train them. One of the issues we have with the Nigerian military, number one, some of them are not professionals. It's not just enough carrying gun, but also to respect the law and the human, civil rights of the citizens. There are issues of technology that they may not be aware of. There are issues of like fingerprints and DNAs, which of course I don't want to talk much in this forum, how we can be able to track these animals in the Southeast. But I think you answered most of the questions, but just letting you be aware that we exist here in the United States. Is a national organization from the Igbo extractions whose professions are in police, military, Navy, Intel, CIA, FBI as a group. And our part of our goals is to help Southeast secure itself. It can be done using modern technology and police. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate my brother.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gethsemane. We appreciate your input. Let me quickly go to the chat to see any more questions there. I think Mr. Odinaka has spoken. Mr. Nwachukwu, I think, also probably spoke. But he asked questions along the level of insecurity, which I think you've addressed. Then the next is Miss Maureen, who says that her question is, how do we get supported with funds to set up healthcare businesses in Nigeria's diaspora? I was told that the business needs to start operations before they can help. So that's her question. How do we get supported with funds to set up healthcare businesses in Nigeria as a diaspora?
I've actually answered that. I said the diasporans, the medical practitioners in diaspora actually put themselves, they have a kind of association. They gather together. Like, for example, now we have the class 82 of University of Ibadan, 76 to 82. 80% of them are in the US and the UK. These are grandfathers and grandmothers. Some of them are trying to come back home. So basically what we're trying to do is to, like, I'll give you an example of Imo State that did not work. We are currently talking with some governors in the Southeast. And take, for example, now the Abia State Teaching Hospital is a government-owned institution, but it can be upgraded to become world-class, like what we have in Europe, in America. So basically what we encourage the diasporans to do is to put themselves up into cooperatives. If we have 500 or 200 of them, they can aggregate funds together. They can say, okay, among themselves, they want to contribute 10,000. It's their money. They set up their own cooperative, contribute among themselves. They can say, okay, $10,000 among 100 people. It's $1 million. Now they can now say, okay, we have $1 million. Basically, it's a seed fund. Like I've been talking to the governors. Elsmed Tel Aviv, you can Google them. They are some of the biggest equipment suppliers, medical equipment. And I've been in talk with them since 2014. And one of the things that I found so interesting about them is that they are not going to give you money. If you're bringing $5 million, they can bring equipment worth $5 million. You and them will sit down. Of course, doctors know the best equipment they need. They know some of the equipment that they require. They will value it. It's their own equity contribution. And one of the reasons why they do it, okay, they don't want their monies diverted. So basically, what basically we're trying to do, for example, now, Abia State Teaching Hospital, over time, government of course will open up that space. We're also talking to some other state government. What they will do is the diasporans will put themselves together into cooperative, the medical doctors. It's a very simple thing. You can register the cooperative in Nigeria, either with Ministry of Commerce in Abia State or Imo State. It's your money. You have your account, you own it. Now, our own is to tie the groups together. The government will provide a block or hand over a section. It may be the kidney center, it may be any center, whatever, or any arrangement that they may go into. But the technical management will be by those they've appointed. For example, now Imo State will have been the best place for us. We have a carcass that was built that will have been used. SMED will supply all the equipment. If it's $10 million equipment, they will supply it. And it will be linked to their center in Tel Aviv. Basically what it will mean. And I've also advocated for us to have a health trust fund. Most of our people may not pay the right money for our health. The aged people will have consideration. Those that can pay will be tried to pay. If we have a health trust fund, Nigerians can contribute. I give you an example now. I have people from my village that come down every Christmas, but they've not been to home for the past 2 years because of insecurity. They used to bring in all manner of medical intervention tests. If they have such a structured arrangement where you have a health insurance cover that can provide for their age, they can take that $50,000 and put in a health trust fund and use it as a part of cover to pay for the health insurance of their aged mothers and children and those that cannot pay for health services within the area. So there is a provision for such. We are working on it, but government must agree to seed most of the tertiary health institutions in the state to run under such private-public partnership arrangements. And the diasporans are the best people to take over those hospitals, to manage it or appoint managers, because some of you guys have extensive experiences. There's an Igbo adage that says, Onye nje fije, onye shawo ihama. He that have traversed the whole world may gain more experience than an old man that sits in the village who does not have experiences. I'll give you an example. My daughter was born in Cleveland, Ohio. If that girl was born in Nigeria, we will have lost her. Because of the certification of the medical equipment that was in the hospital where she was born. That was why she survived. She was drinking her mother's amniotic fluid for more than the thing break. The woman did not know for hours before it was discovered. So Imagine if we did not have that kind, if she was not in America, if it was there in Nigeria, we'll have lost her. So if we have such equipment in America, such attention, what stops us from setting up the same thing in the Southeast? And those who will be in the best position to do it under a PPP arrangement that is well structured, transparent, and accountable. And the diaspora doctors, but diaspora doctors must put themselves up in cooperative clusters to enable us drive this.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's fantastic. The last question I have here is, I think, from Fidelis. I don't really understand the question. I'm just going to read it out as he wrote it. To the presenter, thank you, Doctor, for your vision. To the presenter, I want to state that the reason why those making the money from extortion online will not stop, because when they are caught, they are not punished, but security will collect the money and leave them. But how will they stop when they know they are not going to be punished? So, you know, I mean, if Mr. Fidelis is here, you can clarify on the question. It's not clear to me what is, it doesn't appear that the question is relevant to what we're talking here. And Mr. Ola has the last question here. Thank you for your presentation. How can you be contacted to help in the Southwest? Thank you, Dr. Oladele Odusomi.
Dr. Oladele, we're already working in the Southwest. I'm actually based in Ikoyi, Lagos. I live in Banaland, Ikoyi. I'm here. My office is in Ikoyi, Lagos. We are doing a lot of projects in the Southwest. You can always, my number, you can get my details from Daniel Elom. I can post it. We are very available. If you Google my name, you get every details. I am not a hidden person. You throw my name into Google, you will see all my phone details and everything. I have nothing to hide.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have any details you can share with us? We can post, like maybe your email, maybe your office, you know, office number or something. We can anybody here, because I know Dr. Chukwudi wants to contact you directly for the Nene people. I want to contact you directly because we just bought like almost 10 hectares of land. Actually in Aba, we want to develop, and we're just clueless of who's going to help us for agro, you know, inputs and investment. And then I know Dr. Dosami wants to contact you. I know a whole host of people here. And we're going to post this on our forums, the recorded version of this on our forums. I know people are going to listen to this and they're just going to be blown away by all you have shared, and people want to contact you. So please, if you can.
I have submitted my email. I've submitted my email and phone number.
Okay, good. So we'll make sure, we'll make this available to anybody who wants to contact you, and then we'll follow through with everything else you've said here to, you know, make it worthwhile, not just listening, but we also want to translate it to reality. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Dr. Cheta.
Yes.
I did indicate I would like to ask a question. My name is Desmond Ojiako.
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
You couldn't find, okay. Mine is to thank the people who initiated DADA to start with. Let me introduce myself well. This is my third time to attend the DADA meeting, but actually I've been watching. I'm privileged to have served Nigeria, first serving Nigeria at home as a cooperative person. I worked in the Department of Cooperatives in Nigeria in the 70s, in the 80s. You know, then Nigeria sent me out as their diplomat to Ethiopia, and from where I became an African diplomat. So I'm a Pan-Africanist and I'm a globalist too, because I'm talking from the US right now. This is not to talk about myself. I want to say special thank you to Dr. Nnaemeka for everything he said. He shares with me completely, or I share with him completely the vision he has. Being a cooperative man, having introduced myself partly as the spokesperson of the African continent for at least 10 years, this gives me the impetus to say, I understand him, I know where he's coming from, and I'm going to be part of it. Partly as DADA, partly as a Nigerian, and partly as anything that I can do to make our country more reasonable and more adaptable to all of us right now in the diaspora. I want to appeal to Dr. Nnaemeka for his meeting on the 27th of March. He should take up 3 issues particularly. Mine is to advise because really I've been there. I've seen it all. I will advise him that he should concentrate on 3 things because he has so much information and it will be lost to the people who will be listening if he doesn't concentrate on these 3 things. Number 1, the agro-industry dependence on national security. Agro-industry dependence on national security. If there's no security, we'll be wasting time. 2, we should also concentrate on harnessing the diaspora to get things done in Nigeria, of which it will extend to the whole of Africa eventually, because the whole of Africa is waiting for Nigeria to take off for them to join them. And then the 3rd one would be, which is the most difficult one, how to get the political will of the government, of the leaders of the country, particularly the governors, to be able to pass a bill that would, first of all, de-emphasize anti-open grazing law.
Yeah.
That thing should be out. If it's not out, we are wasting time.
Yes, 100%.
It should be out if Nigeria is to move, because Nigeria can move only on cooperatives throughout the country, and we have a country that is exceptional in the whole world.
Yes, sir.
I know it because I know what cooperatives are.
Yeah.
I worked for them for 1.5 years. I was the first agricultural cooperative public relations officer that held the first agri show in Nigeria. My name spans back in the 90s, indeed in the 80s, as somebody who does news analysis for the country before Nigeria identified where I was and pushed me out. Today I'm in the US, and I'm not in the US because I don't love Nigeria. I'm in the US because there is no security in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
thank you so much.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So
are we?
These are the 3 areas I want you to kindly pick up and emphasize it. Tell them it can work. And I tell you it can work. Indeed, already from what is happening in Abia State, we can get it through there and push it around the whole country. Thank you so much, very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
So I think we're going to start rounding up now. I don't know if Kevin is still there, and I want to please appeal to those of us who are still left in this forum to listen to Kevin and see how they can join DADA, including you, Doc, because I know you guys are in Nigeria, you're not diaspora, but your child is diaspora now. So if you join us, we'll see how we can help to push Nigeria and Africa forward.
Yeah.
And then Kelvin is going to give us a small intro on how people can join DADA and follow DADA in all our social media platforms. Thank you, Kelvin. Is Kelvin still here?
Okay,
No.
okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay, to join DADA, what you have to do is to go to our website, www.diasporaactionfordemocracy.org. I'll be sharing the link on the platform. When you go to the website, there's a sign up button there where you just need to click the sign up button and you see the option to sign up. For full membership, there's a $10 fee, and that helps to also fund our projects and purpose, aims and goals of DADA across the 3 continents. So I'll be sharing it shortly on the platform, and you can sign up from there. I'll also be sharing our WhatsApp number so you can get help in case you want to sign up for DADA or to become a member of DADA. Thank you.
And we also have a BOT management group with a sign up of $50 a month. Whoever wants to join us in the management of the whole organization and bring it to the level we want it to be, you are free to also contact me or Cheta or our BOT chairman, unfortunately, who is not here today, Mia B. So please, I thank you very much, Dr. Nnaemeka, for this opportunity to listen to you. You give me personally a lot of hope that probably, hopefully, Nigeria will get it someday right. The only thing there is, like the last speaker said, the political will to get it done. It's very unfortunate that Peter Obi didn't win the last election, or he won the last election that was stolen from him. That I can say categorically and hit my chest to it. The only unfortunate thing there is that he did not get it right when he chose his campaign council. And I'm ready to say to any of them. I am also in information security, and I try to tell them to go to Amazon. Somebody turned that server off. The minute he turned it off, Amazon has the record of where it was turned off, who turned it off, at what time it was turned off, at what longitude it was turned off, at what latitude it was turned off. But they were busy chasing around the bush until it was too late. So unfortunately, that is the way it is. Hopefully, we'll get it right the next time.
Yeah.
And God willing, Nigeria will move forward. But unfortunately, the way it is, I can say it over and over again. In African countries where they have dictators, they didn't come there by chance. It was a deliberate attempt for them to get there. And now that they have the power, they are not going to give it up easily. So if we have to take the power from them, from all these dictators all over Africa, the people themselves will have to take it up from them. Thanks again. We do appreciate you are coming in today. We are going to be beginning our own general meeting, and it's going to be for another 30 minutes or so. If anybody feels free to join us in this meeting, you can sit in and listen and hear our deliberations on how we go. This is a very transparent organization. Every amount of money you pay to DADA is there in black and white. It's always posted. The bank account is posted on the forum for everybody to see. We give you a summary of what DADA is doing, how we are registering it, because we are trying to make it a non-profit in the United States, but is planned to make it a lot bigger. Even the BOT chairperson has even a bigger idea that where he wants to take DADA all over Africa, make it a true Pan-African organization, including the Caribbeans and the African Americans and all of them, where we could have conventions to come showcase what Africa can really give to the whole world. But at this time, all African leaders are doing is running hands and foot begging for money all over the place, when your soil has the richest natural resources in the world. It's really a sad thing. But we thank with people like you, Dr. Nnaemeka, Peter Obi there, some other folks from the north and the south, east and southwest. There's a little bit of ray of hope that we can see, bring that country back to its days of glory. Thank you very much for coming again. And Dr. Cordelia is not here to give us a vote of thanks. Much. Yeah, thank you. If Cheta, can you do that for us? Or Stella? Cordelia is here?
I think she's here. I saw her just now.
You saw her name there. Let me see. I can't find her. Dr. Cordelia, are you here? Oh, there she is.
Let me, you won't believe where I am. At Hopkins Hospital here. And I completely forgot until I saw where Chete's test. So where are you? And it is, I'm just so saddened, very, very saddened, because I didn't want to miss this, because I know it will be speaking to me. And please, is this talk gonna be out in anywhere where I can go listen to?
Yes, it's on Zoom. It's being recorded.
Yes,
we're going to post it in all the platforms, because this is something that I will wish every Nigerian to listen to. Thank you.
Okay, and also where to connect to Dr. Nnaemeka. He has his contact information.
Yes, it's on
Do
the
we
chat.
have a contact information? All
Yes,
right.
it's on,
So,
it's on the chat.
thanking you from Johns Hopkins Hospital for keeping us informed as to how to progress and help set Nigeria on a path for recovery. Be honest, I have made up my mind that that's the goal. That's the remaining part of what I have to do. Except that if I can survive working 24/7. So thank you for coming to encourage us to do that. May we learn, may we heed your call, may we devote time to create some legacy in Nigeria, in your villages, okay? As I was telling my husband on our way here to Hopkins, to Hopkins, we're going through all this. I said, John Hopkins is an individual. Bloomberg Nursery is an individual. They're all named after all these great men and women because they wanted their name to remain. It's no longer I gotta eat. We can eat 3 square meals. We can only drive 1 car. We can only live in one roof at a time. But it's you. What will people remember you for when you're gone? So think about it. Go in to your villages, to your state, and leave a legacy. And I am committed. I tell my husband, I can't give anybody money if I step into their room is beautiful than where I sleep. I get up, my desk, my computer, next day I work, I go down, eat, I come back. No, I'm working so hard so that I can leave a great legacy. And I thank you for bringing this topic to us. For me, nobody needs to convince me. I want others to be convinced that you can leave a lasting great legacy in Nigeria. We don't have any to be done here in US. It's all been taken over. Okay? But you can do it in Nigeria. And thank you for making your time available to talk. And that's where I end for today. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Cordelia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Cordelia. I think that ends our conference meeting today. The general meeting starts right now, and we're going to try to run through it as quickly as possible because I know we've spent too much time today. I welcome you all again to this meeting, general meeting for the month. Cheta, please, if there's something you want to say.
No, I was going to say, just to add to what Dr. Cordelia said, thank you so much, Dr. Obiaraeri, for coming. And, anybody who has been really touched by this and has plans to follow through with him, the information in the chat, and we're going to make all this, the recording and then I think we're streaming on YouTube. I don't know what we are, Kevin, but we're going to make it available on the chat. So, I will say to Dr. Nnaemeka, you probably get a lot of inquiries in the next couple of weeks. So, I hope we don't overburden you with the number of responses. And then you wish that you never came in.
I have a good team on ground. Don't worry.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Once I log off now, I'll go back to because I'm doing my slide for Wednesday.
Okay, great.
Okay, so thank you so much.
And if it's good, go ahead, Cheta, please.
No, I was going to say anybody who wants to leave now can leave, so we don't hold people back from what they need to do. And then we'll continue with our general meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And then before you guys leave, please try to join DADA, follow DADA, so you can. We have most of these conferences every month, and we post it on the chat. We invite different people. Samamadi has been here, Patutomi has been here, Ogegbe, I believe. So a couple of them have just come here to kind of give us a lot of insight on what the diasporans can do to be able to reshape the narrative about Africa. So thanks again, Dr. Nnaemeka, for coming. If you want to follow us and join DADA, we'll be waiting for you. Thank you very much.
I will join. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Okay. So
Let's get 2 minutes for everybody. Anybody
okay.
who wants to leave.
Who wants to leave? Okay. Cheta, you're going to do me a favor today.
Yeah.
Well,
So they have a conference that there and public too.
I'm going to post
Please, what's the link for someone to join?
It's right there in the, they just posted it in the chat box. You can copy it and paste it somewhere in your computer or cell phone.
Let me post it again.
Okay. And this organization is for every African, not only Nigerians or Ghanaians. It's for anybody who is African-centric, who is interested in the development of Africa.
Yeah, I picked interest. Please, want to just maybe to ask, so even though it's outside, because I joined late, I was having network issues. Please, how DADA, how do you intend to support a young person that want to aspire, like let's just say that wants to contest, look for any elective position? How is it possible with DADA?
Is it in Africa or in Nigeria specifically?
Yes, in Nigeria. In
Nigeria specifically, DADA it's not really a child organization, but there's an organization that is born out of the old Peter Obi support network called COPDEM. If you are aware of COPDEM, go join COPDEM. We have programs there. If we vet you and you agree to dance to our tone, to be responsible to your community, yes, we can support you. But we'll rather start from the very local politics, councillors, chairmanship, local government election, that is not going to cost us an arm and a leg. So try to join DADA, come to their meetings, and you can meet the standard of COPDEM. I'm sure they will be able to help you.
Yeah,
because the standard is quite high.
Sorry for interrupting, but DADA really is a non-partisan organization, right? We don't support political parties. We don't support political ambitions, so to speak. We can support things that enable democracy. We can support, making sure that, maybe election observers are present, and, maybe electoral reforms, things on more like on a general term, very non-partisan. But like Martin said, if you're interested in having like a core support group supporting your ambitions, then there's COPDEM is an option. It's one of the support groups locally that can help with that. But DADA is a very non-partisan. I mean, that's a part of our charter as a 501(c)(3) tax exempt status. So we have to be non-partisan.
Thank you, Cheta. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see here. I think I posted the minutes of our meeting here. It's going to be very brief anyway. The meeting is already, can we start the general meeting now? And yeah. Lawrence, please, this is a separate minute that you got to take concerning our general meeting.
I'm sorry, can we interrupt the recording and then start again? Is that way we can do that? So that way we don't include this.
Exactly, in the streaming, yes. Can you on-stream the...
Okay, I should stop the recording and start it again, right?
Yeah, but not stream it on YouTube, because you can post it later, but not.
I will stop the streaming on YouTube.